Listen to me very carefully, because what you're about to hear is something no one has ever told you directly, but it will change the way you see yourself as a man forever. Most men go their entire lives never realizing the truth I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes. They walk around thinking they're average, thinking they're invisible, thinking they don't have what it takes to stand out, when in reality, they're carrying a level of attractiveness, power, and presence that even younger men can't compete with. And if you don't understand this truth right now, if you don't open your mind for the next few minutes, you will continue living far below the level of respect, attention, and admiration you actually deserve. Because there comes a moment in a man's life where age stops working against him and starts working for him. A moment where depth becomes more attractive than perfection. A moment where silence becomes more powerful than shouting. A moment where experience becomes more magnetic than appearance. And you might not even realize that you have already entered that moment. By the time you finish this video, you will see yourself with a clarity you've never had before. You will understand why people react to you differently now. You will understand why your presence feels heavier, sharper, deeper. You will understand why women notice you even when you think they don't. And most importantly, you will finally see that your age didn't take anything from you. It gave you an advantage younger men can't imitate. So stay with me until the end, because once this clicks, once this truth lands, you will never doubt your value again. You will walk differently, think differently, carry yourself differently, and that shift will change everything. When most older men look in the mirror, they only see what time has taken, not what time has given. And that's the tragedy, because the qualities you believe make you less attractive are the exact qualities that set you apart in a world obsessed with superficial beauty. The truth is simple: your age didn't reduce your attractiveness, it transformed it into a kind of depth and magnetism that younger men cannot imitate, no matter how hard they try. There's a psychology behind this. Human attraction isn't just biological, it's existential. People are drawn to what gives them meaning, stability, and emotional certainty. And nothing carries that more convincingly than a man who has lived, failed, rebuilt himself, and still stands with quiet confidence. Younger men shine brightly but briefly. Their confidence is often loud because it's fragile. But your confidence, it comes from experience, from scars that hardened into wisdom, from lessons that humbled you and shaped you. You no longer need to perform masculinity. You embody it, and that alone is more attractive than anything you think you lost with age. You see, the world has changed. We live in a time where attention spans are short, people are overstimulated, and everything is temporary. But an older man brings something different, something grounding. Your presence carries weight. People sense it when you walk into a room. Women sense it even more deeply. You're not competing, you're not trying to be noticed, you're not begging for approval. And that aura of "I know who I am" is magnetic in ways you underestimate. Think about it. When you were younger, you probably cared about impressing people, your peers, women's society, anyone who validated your identity. You measured your worth through external approval. But now, you've learned to sit with yourself. You've learned to trust your own judgment. And with that inner peace comes a calm, masculine energy that stands out effortlessly. That energy is the new form of attractiveness you carry, one that age didn't destroy, it enhanced it. Women don't just notice physical features, they notice demeanor, they notice posture, they notice how you handle pressure, how you respond to disrespect, how you control your emotions without suppressing them. They notice a man who has lived long enough to stop pretending. And you, without even realizing it, radiate that maturity. It's the type of attractiveness that can't be captured on camera or explained in a dating profile. It's something they feel before they even understand it. And let's be brutally honest, your face tells a story. Not a story of loss, but a story of depth. The lines, the slight ruggedness, the subtle aging, these are markers of a life experienced, not a life wasted. Younger men have smooth, polished faces but empty narratives. You have contours shaped by real life, by real battles, by real wisdom. And women, especially women who are emotionally aware, crave that authenticity. It's grounding, it's masculine, it's rare. Your age also gives you something that younger men don't have: emotional clarity. You're not confused about what you want. You're not guessing. You're not experimenting. You've reached a point where you understand yourself well enough to move with intention. That intention is deeply attractive because it signals security, direction, and leadership. You know what matters and what doesn't. You know who deserves your time and who doesn't. And that selective, intentional energy is one of the strongest forms of attraction a man can possess. There's also a psychological irony here. The less you try to be attractive, the more attractive you become. Younger men chase the appearance of confidence. Older men carry the substance of it. You don't have to seek validation because your value is already internal. And when a man's value is internal, women feel it instinctively. They don't question it. They don't analyze it. They just sense it the same way they sense danger, sincerity, or strength. It's in your tone, your posture, your silence, your presence. But perhaps the most important part is this: your age made you a man who can handle life, and that's the deepest form of attractiveness there is. Women don't look for perfection. They look for safety, emotional stability, and a man who will not crumble under pressure. A younger man can promise these things. An older man can embody them. So don't ever mistake age for decline. Age is an amplifier. It magnifies your strengths, sharpens your masculinity, and reveals the character that youth tries to hide. You didn't lose anything. You gained everything that actually matters. And if there's one thought I want you to walk away with, it's this: you're not becoming less attractive with age. You're becoming the kind of attractive that time cannot erase. One of the biggest shifts that happens as a man ages is subtle, almost invisible to the man himself, yet unmistakable to everyone around him, especially women. It's the transition from chasing attention to attracting it without effort. And this shift is not accidental. It's psychological. It's energetic. It's the natural evolution of a man who has lived enough life to no longer beg for validation, prove his worth, or force an impression. When you were younger, you may have felt the need to compete, to show off, to stand out. But something changes as you grow into yourself. You become quieter, but more powerful. You become less reactive, but more influential. And without realizing it, you begin radiating a presence that younger men can't imitate. Even when they try, there's something magnetic about a man who doesn't chase anything. Not love, not attention, not validation. A man who is content in his own skin becomes a man who others naturally gravitate toward. Women sense it in an instant. They can tell when a man's attention, hungry energy fills the room versus the man whose silence carries more confidence than someone else's loud performance. When you don't chase approval, your value becomes self-evident, and the world responds to you instead of you responding to the world. Think about it. You've reached a stage where your worth is not dependent on who notices you. You are not glued to your phone checking who texted back. You don't feel pressured to impress strangers or justify your choices. You've outgrown the desperate need for external validation. And when a man no longer moves from desperation, he begins to move from power. That is the energy people feel from you. It's the energy of someone who doesn't need anyone to confirm his significance, because he already understands it internally. Women find this overwhelming in ways you probably don't realize. When you're not chasing, you create an energetic vacuum, a sense of curiosity, a psychological pull. Human psychology works that way. People want what seems self-contained, confident, and selective. And unlike younger men who scatter their attention everywhere, your attention has weight. When you look at someone, when you listen, when you engage, it feels intentional. Women notice that. They notice when a man is not easily impressed. They notice when a man carries standards, boundaries, and a sense of direction. They notice when a man's interest is earned, not handed out freely. That scarcity alone makes your presence valuable. You also observe more than you speak, and this observational energy is deeply attractive. Instead of trying to dominate every conversation, you listen, you analyze, you choose your words with purpose. That trait alone sets you apart because in modern dating, very few men truly listen. Your calm, observant nature makes women feel seen and understood without you having to say much. It makes them feel safe, respected, and valued. Younger men talk to impress. You talk to connect. And that difference is massive. Another factor is that you're no longer in emotional competition with other men. You're not trying to outshine anyone or prove superiority. You exist in your own lane. That relaxed self-assurance makes you appear grounded and emotionally stable, something younger women find incredibly attractive, even if they don't consciously understand why. They aren't drawn to you because you're trying hard. They're drawn to you because you don't have to try. And let's address something many older men miss. Your selectiveness is a form of silent power. You don't pursue every woman. You don't flirt with everyone. You're not impressed by superficial beauty or empty confidence. That restraint communicates something powerful. You have standards. And the moment a woman realizes you're not easily swayed, she naturally becomes more curious, more attentive, and more invested in understanding you. The irony is that younger men think women want the man who tries the hardest. But women actually want the man whose energy says, I'm already fulfilled within myself. If you're part of my life, it's because I see value in you, not because I need you to feel valuable. That is the highest form of masculine attractiveness. Not chasing, not begging, not proving, simply existing with purpose and certainty. And the most beautiful part, this type of attractiveness has nothing to do with physical features. It's psychological, it's energetic, it's rooted in experience, self-awareness, and emotional maturity, qualities that only time can give. So if you've ever wondered why people respond differently to you now, why some women look twice, why your presence feels more commanding, it's because you've entered the stage of life where attraction becomes effortless. Remember this, when you stop chasing, you stop running away from yourself. And when you stand firmly in who you are, the world comes toward you. One of the most underestimated qualities older men possess, often without realizing it, is the depth of their masculinity, not the loud, performative version society glorifies, not the aggressive attention-seeking version younger men imitate. I'm talking about the quiet, grounded, mature masculinity that makes people feel safe just by being in your presence. This is the type of attractiveness that goes far beyond physical appearance. It's psychological, it's energetic, it's spiritual. And it is something you earn only through experience, hardship, and growth. You've lived long enough to understand life in a way younger men simply cannot. You've seen broken promises, real loss, real pressure. You've made mistakes, learned from them, rebuilt yourself, and kept going. That resilience becomes part of your energy. You don't walk around desperately trying to prove how strong you are, because life has already tested you enough. You don't need to show force. You embody strength. And women feel that. They feel it in your tone, in your posture, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you respond instead of react. There's something deeply attractive about a man who doesn't panic, a man who doesn't crumble under small setbacks, a man who doesn't need to get loud to feel heard. That emotional stability is rare in a world where people are overwhelmed, anxious, and overstimulated. And when you speak, even if you speak softly, your words carry more weight because they come from a place of lived wisdom. Younger men often talk to fill silence. You talk because you have something worth saying. That difference creates a natural authority. an unspoken respect that people give you without being asked. And then there's the sense of safety you project without trying. Not just physical safety, but emotional safety. A woman can sit across from you and feel calmer just because your presence doesn't demand anything from her. You're not trying to impress her. You're not seeking validation. You're not auditioning for a role in her life. You simply show up as yourself. And, ironically, that authenticity makes you more attractive than chasing ever could. Safety is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent, being aware, being grounded. And these qualities grow stronger with age. There's also a deep, rooted calmness older men carry. Something that comes from knowing who you are and what you're not willing to tolerate. You're not confused about your identity. You're not searching for a sense of direction. When you say no, it comes from boundaries, not ego. When you say yes, it comes from intention, not impulse. This clarity makes you attractive in a way physical beauty alone never could. It's the kind of attractiveness that makes people lean in, trust more freely, relax in your presence, and open up in ways they normally wouldn't. You become a grounding force. You also communicate differently. You don't explode. You don't argue for the sake of winning. You don't let pride run the conversation. When you speak thoughtfully. When you disagree, you do so without losing yourself. And when you listen fully. That ability to regulate emotions while still showing strength is one of the clearest markers of maturity. And maturity is one of the deepest forms of masculine attractiveness. A young man can pretend to be confident. An older man doesn't need to pretend. A young man can act fearless. An older man understands fear and still stands firm. A young man can fake interest. An older man knows how to be present. That presence is powerful. It fills the room. It commands attention without demanding it. And that is the masculinity women notice instantly. The truth is, the world might tell you that youth equals attractiveness. But real, lasting attractiveness is rooted in qualities that take years to develop: emotional intelligence, self-control, depth of character, the ability to stay centered when life becomes chaotic. These are the things that make an older man not just attractive, but captivating. You might see your age as something that disqualifies you, but in reality, it's the very thing that has strengthened the core of your masculinity. Women don't want a man who looks strong. They want a man who is strong, not strong in muscles, but strong in mind, in presence, in leadership, in emotional stability. And you've spent a lifetime developing exactly that. So don't underestimate the impact of your maturity. Don't ignore the quiet influence you have. Don't forget that your presence has value, your voice has weight, and your energy has depth. And if there's one thought I want to leave you with, it's this: your masculinity didn't fade with age. It finally became real.